Hey, we're back outside, 2 videos in a row. I wonder if that's significant of anything. Also, the sun's almost down, thanks to ADHD. So, I've been working on Stormfellers, an indie animated pilot, for quite a long time now, which might lead some to wonder, how long exactly does that take? Are you even still making it? Well, what's the holdup, Buster? They call me Buster a lot, which I don't know how to feel about that. Well, the answer to the first question is a long time in my case, and the second question in the title of this video is, oh yes.
And how?
Well, how?
But it's the kind of answer that begets more questions, and there are 5 of those that I want to answer now, like how much is left? What about this whole Procreate Dreams thing? Who's voicing Biko? Do you need any help? And finally, you're probably wondering, when's it coming out? We got Quilver on the mic. Or, the mic on Quilver. By the way, it's a really exciting time for indie animation. Like I've said before, it doesn't solve the state of the industry and magically give everyone jobs, but it's been really encouraging to see how people get behind projects like Lackadaisy and the Amazing Digital Circus. It gives me, hopefully not false hope, that we can foster our own little fan base for Stormfellers and it can be successful. And for anyone else making indie animation, I think there's genuinely never been a better time, since the ability to make it has never been easier, but also clearly now the demand is there from the general public, who seems to understand what it takes to make these things happen and are largely supportive of it and getting behind it. Last time we showed off some of the character models, and I wanted to hold off on sharing any animation because honestly I'm torn between sharing the process, which I think is really helpful, and keeping all the cards close to my chest. Now, since then, in addition to the lead animator that's been helping me, we've brought on an additional animator, which essentially doubles our productivity and, incidentally, our monthly budget, but it also means that one of them is stronger with emotive close-up scenes and the other's more comfortable with kinetic action scenes, so they're able to play to their strengths. So for what's left of the pilot, the most time-intensive part is the animation. Likely, as I'm finishing shots down the line, some of the last few bits of animation will be being completed relatively close to release. It doesn't make a lot of sense to just wait for all animation to be done before moving on to anything else. So after animation is still quite a few steps. There's modeling and texturing the environment, there's lighting and shading, which is the graphical look of the scenes, and then there's still audio mastering, sound effects, and music, along with the actual composition. So this might be a relatively new concept for anyone outside of animation, but in CG, the way the animation looks when you just hit the render button isn't always what you use or see in the final product. Usually you have a lot of different passes that get layered over top of one another in, say, a video editing program, and they're tweaked and fine-tuned from there, especially when you have anything resembling realistic or just any kind of complex lighting. I worked at a studio once where the shots did not look good up until the weekend before we sent out the animation. And I will say, for any in-progress shots of Stormfellers that you see in this video, none of them are final looks at all. We have all of those steps to complete first. So let's take a crack at one of the next steps with the environment. Now, some scenes have environments that matter, like buildings and villages and specific terrain, the things that the characters interact with, but this scene from early on in the episode is basically set in a large open field. Quilver is up in a tree to Biko's right, and there's a cliff face behind them, but other than that, we can really add whatever we would like. What I would like to do is move back and forth between 2D and 3D to figure this out. So for example, I can look at the actual framing of the shot of Biko here and quickly draw some lines for what I want the scene to look like. I think if we have some boulders on either side of him in the shot, then we can make them jagged and shaped like arrows that are pointing down to give the impression of him being sort of pinned down and under pressure emotionally. We can build these really low poly boulders to start and make sure they're in a good place behind him, and do the same thing for Quilver's tree. And in shots where the characters interact with this environment, we can build the models out as much as we need to, but if they're just in the background, we can use a technique called matte painting. That's where a 2D painting fills out the background, even sometimes on a pane of glass in front of the rest of the scene. They did that a lot in movies like Return of the Jedi. In Blender, it's really easy to make these models and handprint their texture so that we have control over their look instead of realistic lighting. Now, the same way that we might add a zenithal highlight to a physical painted object, we can just use a soft brush from the top like this on the rocks to quickly get some light and shadow on our model. These look like the most basic mobile game low poly environment models, but from here we can either refine their textures or fine-tune the color to reflect the color script of the scene, or simply paint over top of them in a digital art app like Procreate and use them as a matte painting. Plus, in Blender, there are a ton of ways to achieve grass and foliage through things like geometry nodes. Now, number 2, speaking of Procreate, there are a ton of VFX shots in Stormfellers. You have Biko's healing beams, you have Quilver's barbs, lightning being absorbed into Aecius's shoulders, even something like speed lines as Glangor is running. Now, it would be possible to make all of those things in Blender, but in a lot of cases, the more intuitive thing would be to hand animate them, which is why it's so fortuitous that Procreate Dreams is just around the corner from release, because my plan is to use Dreams for a lot of our effects shots. Here's another shot of Biko mid-healing, and even with the preview version that I have access to of Procreate Dreams, before any additional filters or layer effects are added, I can already see this being a no-brainer. Again, is it possible to do in Blender? Sure, but what's important to me is both being intuitive with the work, but also fighting against as much of what the computer is creating so that you have the feeling of handmade and resembling my illustration style as much as possible. And I think Dreams helps accomplish that a lot. So we'll definitely keep a close eye on that for shots come November 22nd and Procreate's release. Now, previously we announced the voices of Quilver and Glangor, but you're probably wondering who's voicing Biko. Don't worry, it's not me again. It's my great pleasure to announce Biko will be voiced by prolific artist, musician, and friend of the channel, Louis Zong. It's an honor to have Louis involved. In addition to his work, he has a vocal quality with inherent meekness and humility, but also warmth as well that captured what I was looking for in Biko. So that's very exciting. I can't tell you how long I've been waiting to tell you all that. Actually, I can. It's been since last summer when he recorded his lines. Question 4. Hey Brookes, do you need any help? You might be wondering if you can get involved. When I listed off a few positions in the first of these videos, we got so many people in general, most of them interested in working on the tabletop RPG for Stormfellers, which was great. That isn't top of my priority list right now. We have fantastic animators. We have some really talented musicians that have offered to help. I should be narrowing down on the music side soon. But of those roles that I had initially asked for help with, it would be great if there's anyone who can help with Foley, sound effects, even sound design if need be. So lumencojobs@gmail.com is still the email to reach out about any of those things. If you or someone you know would be interested in that, please pass them along. It's paid work. And even if you don't have those particular sets of skills, the best way anyone can support it is to help me with this budget. It costs a lot to employ 2+ animators, even part-time. All of these roles mean hiring people, so you can either support through Biko's Backpack, or this weekend specifically, we've got our virtual booth sale on at brookeseggleston.com, alongside me being at Lightbox Expo, table 125, if you happen to be there. The more help that I get with offsetting costs, the less client work that I need to take on, and the more I'm freed up to finish the project, so you can directly make that happen. Number 5, finally, you're wondering, when, Brookes? When can we expect to see Stormfellers? Well, these are some soft dates, because honestly, after 7 years of rushing YouTube videos out to meet a quick weekly deadline, like even this one, I don't want to release this before it's ready. But right now, I'm confident in saying that you should expect to see a teaser trailer where shots do actually look final in December 2023, and a release of the pilot on this channel 5 months from now in March 2024. It's been such a long journey to get here. We're pushing for quality, and I can't wait to share Stormfellers with you in earnest. Thank you everyone for your patience. This experience for me has been a little bit like one of those really uncomfortable Instagram anniversary posts where it's like, he makes me fume with rage, we'd fight all the time, but he's still my Pookie Bear and I can't imagine living with it. Like, are you guys okay? Do you need us for any of it? It's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like that. This is such a huge amount of work, and if I could do anything differently next time, it would be that I won't announce or give a release date so early on. So it's not technically a deadline, but it's just adding to the pressure of, like, people are expecting this. Some of them might be judging you for how long it's taking. It's an unnecessary extra thing. By the way, how about this awesome new logo made by one Teague Ketchen? Huge upgrade that perfectly captures the feel of the story way better than my old logo did. Also, it's like basically nighttime now. Something really cool, born of some really annoying shipping problems that we've been having this year on top of everything else. You can get October, November, and December's Biko's Backpack delivered all at once if you're a patron by October 31st. It's a really special lineup of cards and pins to close out the year. We've got an oversized Wanderlumen for October, as well as Warlun, the undeviating mallet, who you might recognize as the blacksmith from our old intro. Finally done swinging. His crowbar is done, I think. We have Yuka, the Silkpa Shepherd, and a Jacqueline pin for November. That's interesting. Wonder what the implications are there. And a Beako's backpack for December, finally rounding off the main Stormfellers crew pins. You can get that at patreon.com/bageldenizen, and my course, Learn Character Design, at learncharacterdesign.com. At our virtual booth sale, you have another chance to grab a Beako plush now until Monday. Follow at Bageldenizen everywhere else. Thanks for watching, and have fun creating. I was not like 10 seconds done filming that video when my memory card was completely full. That was good timing. New video next week, by the way, with another big project that I've been working on. I'll see you then.